There is a wooden crate sitting in the corner of my garden right now, about 3 feet tall, built from old pallet boards with gaps between the slats wide enough to pass your hand through. From the outside, it looks like something you would haul firewood in, but last October, my wife and I tipped that crate over onto a tarp, and out rolled 52 pounds of potatoes. 52 pounds from a footprint smaller than a card table in a corner of the yard that only gets about 6 hours of sun. I never sprayed one thing on it all season. I never dug a trench. I never hilled a shovel of soil, and I hardly pulled a weed. Everything that crate does, I learned from watching how my Amish neighbors grow potatoes when garden space is tight, and today I'm going to walk you through all 5 of their methods, start to finish, so you can build one of these before planting season closes. But stay with me to the end, because the 5th one is about the day you stop watering on purpose. And the reason behind it is one specific thing a potato plant does during its last 3 weeks underground that almost nobody ever explains. I'm Bill, though most folks online know me as Backyard Bill. I garden on a little piece of land in rural Ohio right alongside an Amish settlement, and those neighbors are my friends and my greatest teachers. For too many years I fought my own backyard with a rototiller and a shelf full of chemicals, and I lost. Most of what I am about to show you I learned from my friend Daniel watching across the fence. Now, if you have ever tried growing potatoes the way the gardening magazines show it, you know the routine. You dig a trench down the length of the yard 8 inches deep, you lay in your seed potatoes, you backfill, and then every couple of weeks you drag soil up around the plants with a hoe until your back tells you to quit. The books say a family needs 40 feet of row, and if you are working with a small backyard or raised beds or just a patio, that math never works out. So the potatoes get skipped, and you keep paying the grocery store close to $1 a pound for something that grows like a weed. And when folks do try a small patch, they striped beetles usually find it in June, and out comes the sprayer, and the whole thing turns into the same old war I fought for years. My neighbors do not fight that war. Their kitchen gardens grow more potatoes in 1/10 of the space without one drop of spray, and they have done it that way for generations. And potatoes are worth the trouble, maybe more than any other crop in a small garden, because a single well-run crate can put 50 pounds in your basement, and 50 pounds of good keeping potatoes is real grocery money that stays in your pocket all winter. Keep that 5th secret in the back of your mind as we go, the day the water stops, because the first 4 secrets are all building toward it, and it is the one that decides whether your potatoes last until spring or rot in the basement by Thanksgiving. Now, everything I'm about to show you today is one piece of a bigger system, and I wrote that whole system down in a book called The 30-Day Amish Pest-Proof Garden Protocol. It is 117 pages of what Daniel and his community taught me, laid out as a 30-day plan any home gardener can follow, so your garden starts defending itself from pests the way theirs always have, without chemicals. It covers the 5 reasons modern gardens attract pests and Amish gardens do not. The 7 foundations of a pest-proof garden, the full 30 days week by week, and the deeper skills too: seed saving, hand tools, and preserving the harvest. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47. And I will tell you plainly, $17 is less than I used to spend on one jug of spray that I had to buy again every single season. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, let's get you growing potatoes. Secret number 1. Secret number 1 is to grow up instead of out. The Amish farms around me have plenty of acreage, but the kitchen garden by the house is a different story. That garden feeds a family every day, and every square foot works for its supper. So for potatoes in tight quarters fingers, they go vertical, and that is exactly what my crate is. Here is how to build one, and take your time with this. There is no rush. Find 4 wooden pallets or enough scrap boards to make 4 slatted panels. Screw them together into a box about 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and 3 feet tall. That is 3 feet tall, roughly up to your knee and a half. Leave gaps between the boards about the width of 2 fingers. Those gaps matter. They let air move through the straws so nothing turns sour and soggy in there, and they let you peek inside come August to see what you are growing. If building is not your thing, 5-gallon buckets work on a smaller scale. Drill 5 drainage holes in the bottom of each bucket, each hole about ½ an inch across. That is 5 holes, and do not skip them, because a potato sitting in standing water is a potato that rots. A word on the wood while we are at it. Use plain untreated lumber or old pallets stamped with the letters HT, which just means the wood was heat treated instead of soaked in chemicals. We're going to grow food in this box, so keep the pressure treated boards for the fence. As for where to set it, potatoes want sun 6 hours a day at the least, 8 if you can manage it. A spot along a south-facing wall or fence is about perfect. And here is a nice bonus for you northern folks, because that wall holds the day's warmth and gives the crate a gentler night. Set the crate right on bare ground if you can, so the worms can come up into it and any extra water can drain away into the soil below. One more thing before you plant a single spud, and this one surprises a lot of folks. Not every potato likes a tower. Ask your seed supplier for a mid-season or late-season variety, because those keep setting new potatoes along the stem as you bury it, which is the entire trick of growing vertically. An early variety sets 1 layer near the bottom and quits, and you end up with 3 feet of crate and 6 inches of potatoes. So 1 crate or a few buckets, drainage, air gaps, and a mid or late variety. That is the whole foundation, but a crate full of the best soil in Ohio will still disappoint you if you plant a sleeping potato. And that brings us to what my neighbors do 2 weeks before the shovel ever comes out. Secret number 2 is to wake your seed potatoes up before they ever touch the soil. The first spring Daniel walked me through this, I felt a little foolish, because for 30 years I had planted potatoes straight from the sack, cold and dormant, and then wondered why the row next door came up 10 days ahead of mine. Here is the method. Buy certified seed potatoes from a garden store or a farm supply, not grocery store potatoes, which are often treated so they will not sprout. About 2 weeks before your planting day, set those seed potatoes in a single layer in a tray or an egg carton. Put the tray somewhere cool and bright, like a windowsill in a spare room, around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Over those 2 weeks, the eyes will wake up and push out short, stubby, dark green sprouts about ½ an inch long. Short and green is what you want. Long, white, spindly sprouts mean the spot was too warm and too dark, and those break off the moment you plant. The old folks call this greening the seed, and it buys you 10 days to 2 weeks of head start on the season without a greenhouse. Now, the day before planting, cut any seed potato bigger than a chicken egg into pieces. Each piece needs at least 2 eyes. That is 2 eyes, 2 of those little sprouting dimples on every piece. Then here is the step almost everybody skips. Lay those cut pieces out, cut side up in a dry, airy spot for 2 full days before planting. That is 2 days, not 2 hours. The cut surface dries into a tough little callus, like a scab on a skinned knee, and that callus is what seals the piece against rot once it goes into damp soil. Daniel put it better than I ever could. He told me you would not send a man into the field with an open wound, so do not send a potato. Wake them in the light for 2 weeks, cut to 2 eyes, cure for 2 days. And while your seed is waking on the windowsill, let the ground tell you when planting day has come. The old rule around here is to plant potatoes when the dandelions bloom, and there is real sense behind it, because dandelions bloom when the soil has warmed to about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 50 degrees, and a cheap soil thermometer thermometer will confirm it if you like to be sure. Plant into cold, wet soil, and even a perfectly cured seed piece will sulk and rot. Plant into 50-degree soil and it is up in 10 days. Do all of that and your crate comes up fast, even, and strong. And once those plants are up, the third secret begins, and it is the one that replaces every hour of hilling you have ever done. Secret number 3 is the straw rhythm, and this is the heart of the whole small space method. Start by putting 6 inches of good growing mix in the bottom of your crate or bucket. I use half finished compost and half plain garden soil stirred together in a wheelbarrow. Set your cured seed pieces on that bed, sprouts pointing up. In a 2-foot crate, plant 4 pieces, one toward each corner. That is 4 pieces, and it will look lonesome in there, but trust the spacing because each one becomes a full plant. Cover them with 3 inches of the same soil mix and water them in gently. Then you wait and you watch. When the green tops reach about 8 inches tall, it is time for the first tuck. That is 8 inches, a bit longer than a dollar bill. Take loose straw, not hay, and here is the difference because it matters. Straw is the hollow yellow stalk left after grain is harvested, and it carries almost no seed. Hay is dried whole grass full of seed, and a crate hilled with hay becomes a crate of grass by July. So, straw. Tuck it loosely around each stem until only the top 4 inches of leaves are showing. The plant responds by growing taller, and every buried inch of stem starts setting new potatoes in the darkness. When it gains another 8 inches, tuck again. You will repeat this 4 or 5 times through the season. 2 minutes a visit until the straw reaches the top of the crate. No shovel, no hoe, no bent back. And the darkness is doing a second job most folks never think about. Any potato that sees sunlight turns green and bitter, and a green potato is not one you want on your dinner table. Deep, loose straw keeps every spud in the dark, holds moisture through dry spells, and come harvest, you do not dig at all. You tip the crate over and pick your supper up off a tarp. Now, 2 housekeeping notes on the straw because they save folks some worry. First, straw settles. A layer you tucked 8 inches deep will slump to 5 within a couple of weeks, and that is fine. Just top it up a little on your next visit. Second, water it. Through the growing season, a crate wants about 1 inch of water a week, rain included, and the straw makes it forgiving. Push a finger down through the straw to the second knuckle, and if it comes up dry, water slowly at the base of the plants until you see it weep from the bottom slats. Water the straw jacket, not the leaves, and do it in the morning so the plants go into the night dry because wet leaves after dark are an open invitation to blight. So 6 inches of mix, 4 seed pieces, tuck it every 8 inches of growth, 1 inch of water a week by the finger test. That is the rhythm. But right about the time your first straw layer goes in, usually mid-June here in Ohio, an uninvited guest shows up. He wears yellow and black stripes, and how you handle him decides your whole harvest. Secret number 4 is defense without a sprayer, and this is where my Amish neighbors truly changed how I garden. The Colorado potato beetle is the one pest every potato grower meets sooner or later. He is about the size of your pinky fingernail, rounded with tan and black stripes running down his back, and his grubs can strip a potato plant to the stems in a week. For years, I answered him with whatever the co-op sold me, and every year he came back, and every year the jug cost more. The first June after I quit spraying, I stood at the fence and asked Daniel, half joking, what he sprays for beetles, and he looked at me the way you look at a man who has asked a very strange question. Out of respect for my neighbors, I change small details when I tell stories from their side of the fence, but the answer I can share exactly as it was given. Nothing, he said. We just look at the plants. It took me a full season to understand how much was packed into that sentence. Daniel handles the striped beetle with a morning walk and a coffee can, and it takes about 2 minutes a day. Here is the routine. Every morning with your coffee, walk to your crate. Turn over a few leaves on each plant because the underside of the leaf is where the story is told. You're looking for two things. First, the striped adults themselves. Pick them off and drop them into a can of soapy water, and that is the end of them. Second, and more important, look for the egg clusters. They are bright orange yellow, laid in tidy little bunches of 20 or 30 on the underside of the leaf, and you cannot mistake them for anything else. Wipe each cluster off with your thumb. Every cluster you crush in the morning is 30 grubs that never hatch, and if a cluster slips past you, you will know inside a week because the grubs are soft, humpbacked, brick red little things with black spots down their sides, usually bunched together, chewing on one leaf. Pick them into the soapy can, same as the adults. Around here, the adults show up within a week or two of the plants breaking ground, so start your walks early before you ever see damage. Do that daily for the few weeks the beetles fly, and a small planting like a crate simply never builds a beetle problem. This is the morning walk I talk about in nearly every video, and it is the single habit that changed my garden more than any product ever did. 2 minutes with your coffee looking before anything needs doing catches every problem while it is still small enough to fix with your thumb. Now, the old families around me stack the deck a little further, and you can too. They plant a ring of bush beans around the base of the potato patch because the two crops have looked after each other in kitchen gardens for as long as anyone can remember. The beans discouraging the potato beetle and the potatoes discouraging the bean beetle, and worst case, you get a crop of beans out of the bargain. And at the corner of the patch, more than one of my neighbors keeps a pot of horseradish sunk into the ground, an old companion for potatoes going back generations. Keep it in the pot, mind you, because horseradish loose in a garden never leaves. None of this costs more than a packet of bean seed. None of it touches your food with anything you cannot pronounce. And it works because the garden is doing the defending, not the gardener. It is not about fighting nature. It is about working with it. And with your plants fed, tucked, and defended, we come at last to the promise I made you at the start. The fifth secret, the day you stop watering on purpose, and the reason why. Secret number 5 is the dry finish, and of everything my neighbors taught me about potatoes, this is the one that sounds the most backwards and matters the most. Late in the season, your potato plants will tell you they are done. First, they flower. Then a few weeks later, the vines begin to yellow, and one day they simply flop over and lie down on the straw. Everything in a modern gardener says to rescue them, water them, feed them, stand them back up. Do not. The day the vines yellow and flop, you stop watering completely, and you leave that crate bone dry for 2 to 3 weeks before harvest. That is 2 to 3 full weeks of doing nothing at all. And here is what is actually happening down in the dark, the thing I promised you, the thing almost nobody explains. In those final 3 weeks, the plant is not dying so much as finishing. It has stopped making new potatoes, and it is pulling everything it has left, all the sugars stored in those tired vines, down through the stems and into the tubers. Your potatoes are gaining their last weight and their flavor after the plant looks dead. And at the very same time, each potato is growing itself a thicker skin, curing right there underground, turning that papery film you can rub off with your thumb into a tough jacket that can take handling. Water is the interruption that ruins both jobs. Keep the crate wet in those weeks, and the plant thinks the season is still on. The sugars stay in the vines, the skins stay thin as tissue paper, and potatoes that have already sized up will drink so fast they split their own sides. Thin-skinned, split, waterlogged potatoes scuff at harvest, and scuffed potatoes are the ones that turn soft and sour in the basement by Thanksgiving. The dry finish is why a proper crate of potatoes tipped out after those 3 quiet weeks will store in a cool, dark corner clear through to spring. Daniel put it better than I ever could. He said the plant knows how to finish its own work if you will quit interrupting it. So watch for the flop, hang up the hose, count 2 to 3 weeks, then tip your crate on a dry, sunny morning and let the potatoes lie on the soil a couple of hours to dry before they go into baskets. A few words on that harvest morning, because it is the payday and folks rush it. Do not wash them. I will say that again because it goes against every instinct in a tidy kitchen. Do not wash a storage potato. Brush the loose dirt off with your hands and leave the rest, because that thin coat of dry soil is part of what keeps them. Washing drives water into the skin and wakes up every rot that water carries. Sort as you gather, any potato that got nicked or speared goes in the kitchen basket to be eaten this week, and only the clean, unbroken ones go to storage. Then keep them somewhere cool, dark, and a little humid. 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit is the sweet spot, in baskets or paper sacks. Never seal plastic, because potatoes are alive in there and they need to breathe. That is 40 to 50 degrees. An unheated basement corner or an old-fashioned root cellar if you are lucky enough to have one. 52 pounds from a card table of ground, and every one of them keeping until Easter. That is not me being a clever gardener. That is a system that was quietly working next door the whole time I was out there losing a war. And that is really the heart of what Daniel taught me about potatoes and about everything else growing on that farm. The book is the whole system, the 30-day Amish Pest-Proof Garden Protocol. 30 days laid out week by week, from kill nothing, build everything, all the way to a garden that defends itself, plus the seed saving and harvest keeping that come after. It is $17, down from $47, which is less than one season of the sprays it replaces, and you will still have it when the sprays would be long gone. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So that is the whole method. Build the crate, wake the seed, tuck the straw, walk the morning rounds, and finish dry. Did your folks or your grandparents garden without chemicals? Tell me one thing they did below. Those are exactly the methods worth saving, and I read every single one. Next time I'm going to show you the flowering border row my neighbors plant along the edge of every kitchen garden, and the reason those few feet of blooms quietly wipe out an aphid problem before you ever see one. Work with nature, not against it, and I'll see you in the garden.